It's perfect. Perfect. Hey, hey everyone. I'm here. This is your friend Carlz with another week of comic book talk. But I feel like I'm getting better by the second. Man, how come vocal cords take so long to do they repair themselves? I don't know. I keep thinking about John Bon Jovi and how he fucked up his vocal cords, but he sung Living a Prayer for like 30 years before getting that. And it's funny because I think vocal cords are just these little strings of meat, right? Or like tendon or muscle or something. They are just these frail, teeny things, magical things that makes us talk. Well, parrots talk as well. But anyways, I'm still on the process of recording my Supergirl movie episode in English, so I can offer it in Spanish, but I do this show in English. But whatever, it's coming. I got a lot to say about Supergirl, and I mentioned it during my comic book talk because out of all the comic book movies or superhero movies, dude, I just realized how they quickly sort of moved from being comic book movies to superhero movies. But we keep forgetting that it's all about the comic books. And in this case, more than ever. And that is something that makes this movie worth talking about. If you are into any degree of superhero or comic book adaptations at all. But in more like a straight comic book news that I heard this week was the announcement of Daniel Warren Johnson's new book, Shinkata. It's funny because Daniel Warren Johnson is this sort of author and illustrator artist that he always comes with swinging like really hard, like in your face action, wrestling, metal. It always has that type of character or something being really outlandish and like outrageous, but they always have so much heart, man. So you hear an announcement from him and from whoever is publishing, and they always go like, yeah, action packed, and you can't believe it, it's like girls with chainsaws in space. But if you've been following him, you love his work, it's all about the heart, man. I love that guy. Murder Falcon must be one of the best comic books of the past 10 years. That ending though, man. I can count with the fingers in my hand how many times I've cried with comic books. The ending of Murder Falcon was one of those. It was so beautiful. But anyways, looking forward to his new stuff. But while we wait, we check what's new this week and what's got me excited this week. Plenty of stuff, a lot of origin stories. This could be like origin story week, Let's go right into it. For the sake of not making every show an hour, Not that it matters, but I need to save some voice. So, this week we have Aladdin coming into the whole Dynamite line of Disney books. I've been praising Dynamite's villains, Disney villain series. They are great, mostly because basically you never see that much of villains in classic Disney stories. They are like functional characters. It's a villain, it has a motivation for that movie, and the motivation goes against the protagonist. Therefore, they're the antagonist. So the Disney villain series for Dynamite has given us a lot of backstory, and I've loved, particularly the Ursula one I liked a lot. Which other one I liked? Man. Oh, the Scar one. But basically, they all been great, if not breakthrough stuff, because in the end, you love these movies for what they were back then. So you never go that far as okay, if I knew more about the main villain, how would this change? How would my perspective on the villain change? It just gives a little bit more flavor to the experience of the movie, mostly in your mind, because they are really carefully crafted. It's never gonna change what happened in the movie. But the Dynamite Disney sequel, sort of, or like, are they all sequels? I'm not sure, but they have released a lot of books based on the Disney movies, and the one that keeps popping back in my head is the Hercules one. They did a Hercules book, which was technically a sequel, and it was okay, but it read too much like, I don't know, like Wonder Woman or something. Too much into the lore, too much into the conflict. And my main criticism for that Hercules book was that it lacked the comedy. It lacked the charisma and sort of that quirkiness that made the Disney Hercules movie so good. Disney's Hercules, I don't think is people's most favorite when people think about the golden age, or like the second golden age, or whatever you want to call it, the 90s, between Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Pocahontas, that bunch. I don't hear many people saying Hercules, but I thought it was a great movie because it had a lot of charisma. It sort of felt like a sitcom at times by the type of humor and the overall feeling or vibe, the lightheartedness of the movie, but it was always focused on the comic. And they lost that in the comic book. Not completely, but they certainly lost it compared to the movie. So now we go into Aladdin. And we all know, like, we don't have to, what's that saying? Acknowledge the pink elephant in the room. Of course, one of the biggest and most endearing and fun and great things of Aladdin was Robin Williams. Robin Williams's The Genie. You can help but wonder if perhaps the live action movie would have been better if Robin Williams were the person behind the genie. We don't know, and we will never know, sadly. That he has become the avatar of the sad clown. But anyways, this is straight up a sequel, and I don't know. I recommended it more out of interest, out of curiosity. Let's see how it works in this sense, and we can at the same time forget about the movie sequels. I haven't seen Return of Jafar in a long time, but I don't remember it being that bad, but I don't remember it being that good. And that is because Disney movies of this sort, they have that sort of fairy tale archetype to them. They begin and they end self-contained in the same movie. So if you do a sequel, it always feels like stretching it out. But we'll see what goes. Overall, Dynamite has been doing a great job with these Disney's IPs. So, pretty fun. Next. The first of the many origin stories. You can say, oh, you recommend Absolute Batman every week, but like, fuck, why is it so good? It's not my fault. But in this week, there's something really interesting to recommend, because we're finally getting more of Absolute Harley Quinn. And just the other day, I saw some fan art of Absolute Harley Quinn as this guerrilla type revolutionary, like Che Guevara style character, and she is sort of like that, but she's been really shrouded in mystery, like lots. So we're supposed to get a little bit of backstory on Absolute Harley Quinn and the Absolute Robins, the two of the most, not the most, but two really interesting characters in the Absolute Batman world. Absolute Batman is a book that moves at a relentless speed. And we often forget how many characters they have crammed in this tiny space. And, I don't like thinking about it, but it almost feels like they know they're on a clicking time bomb or like clicking time. I've said this so many times since the Absolute Universe began that I have really no idea how long it's gonna last. You know, but at least having interesting characters, even if they are presented in like a fast-paced, relentless way, is fun because it adds layers to the world. The world Absolute Batman being like what? It's less than a year old maybe, already having so many characters and storyline in it. They really hit the Goldilocks zone with these books because, as I said, they have a bunch of characters. Not all of them are really involved. Not all of them are crucial to the story, and most of the times it's us kind of having our own ideas about them who complement the book. With this I mean, okay, we don't really know Absolute Harley Quinn's full story, but we complement it with what we know about Harley Quinn and what we expect of her. So when we finally get to see Absolute's version of backstory, it's super fun. Just bouncing it around between what we know about Harley Quinn, what we know of the Absolute Universe, and whatever new thing we're gonna get from it. So yeah, another week, another Absolute recommendation. Why is this book so fucking good, man? Did I talk about the show? Yeah, I think I talked last time about the animated show. I'm not too keen on it, honestly. In a world of crappy adaptations, what they're gonna do? They're probably gonna squeeze the first story arc of Absolute Batman, like however long they can. Everybody's waiting for the Boys cast announcement. But anyways, I wanna say that I will skip it, but I don't think that I will manage to control myself, and I will probably end up watching it. Next. Man, I loved Absolute Catwoman #1 for one main reason and one big reason. I've been struggling with liking Catwoman, seeing like the last 2 or 3 storylines with the Thorgerbunk. What is her name? I can't pronounce the name of the author of the last storylines. Catwoman has kind of like settled in that space of mobsters and, you know, fighting against the criminal underworld, and you know, you're always expecting her to come back or have to do something with Batman. So in the last storyline, she came back to Gotham, and it's sort of like a big deal because there's no, what is that saying, like putting the genie back in the bottle, you know? So they do their most kind of like obvious effort to keep Catwoman away from Batman, but at the same time keeping her in the whole Gotham thing. Basically, struggling between her being part of the Bat family and not. So it was highly refreshing when they released Absolute Catwoman, and she's free of all of that shit, and you can totally tell. When she appeared in Absolute Batman, they already made them kind of like a couple. So in Absolute Batman, but Absolute Batman has this vibe of sort of anarchic, messy rhythm, you know. So she appeared and they are already fucking or whatever, but nobody really cares because the book moves 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers per hour. It's too fast, so we don't have time to sit down and think, oh, maybe Bruce and Selina are gonna have like this deep relationship. No, everything moves so fast. So there's like, okay, I met this girl, like we fucked and shit, like whatever, but we have our own shit. So Absolute Catwoman was an absolute delight, as well as many of these Absolute books have been, just by the fact that this is a free Catwoman. The concept of making her sort of into like the Bruce Wayne of the regular universe, having a lot of money and power and tech, they crafted such a fun character. In Catwoman, in issue number one, we already had her backstory. She came from poverty. She has a racial element to her. She has a power element to her. So I don't want to spoil the whole thing, but basically in her solo story, she's fighting kind of like an organization that she created herself, and the Catwoman is not like her. The Catwoman is sort of like a I don't know if they're a gang. It's just issue number one, but it's not like she's the Catwoman. It's like the Catwomans, and they betray her, and now she's running, and she has so much cool tech shit. But the most important thing is that, unlike regular universe Catwoman, it feels like free. It's not like, it's Black Mask again, it's Batman again. It's like, no. It feels free, and it feels like a really fun adventure full of high-tech gadgets and action. And Bengal's art is amazing in it. Everything comes together in the end. Everything is like, how can you say it? Everything works when you create and craft this sort of independent, but at the same time independent, new, and at the same time sort of not old, but like new, but with reference to the old universes. Absolute Catwoman also was super good, and number 2 comes out this week. Next. I don't know what to think about. I'm pretty sure this is not the first solo Clayface book we've had. Just random. What is the deal with DC and Clayface? When was the last time we got Mr. Freeze solo book? I'm pretty sure we had I think it was Tom King's, right? The Penguin solo book. Well, when was the last time we had Mr. Freeze solo book? Or Calendar Man? I don't know. But there's a new book for Clayface, which is obviously tied to the upcoming DC. Is it part of the extended universe? But basically, the Clayface movie that is coming out at the end of the year. And I don't know. I think Clayface is a good character for single episodes of Batman the Animated Series. I don't think Clayface can ever be a long story arc holding character. Like a super villain that creates elaborate plans and machinations to take over Gotham or not. No, but he was perfect in those Batman animated series episodes, isn't it? Like this tragic, dramatic actor, like the Pagliacci, the clown, the tragic clown. Like, I was beautiful and famous, and now I'm ugly and unstable. Those solo episodes, or those solo stories, could that be reflected in the Clayface movie or in any Clayface solo book? I don't know. It always has some elements to it, but the balance is quite frail between having a good solo story and having it be relevant at all. Because why do we care if it's not part of the main universe? Even if the stories in the Batman animated series, even if they were isolated or like one episode stories or anything, Batman was there always. Because part of Batman's personality is also related to Clayface. He plays a character, he wears a mask, so they have some empathy in it. But solo, I don't know. And the angle they always play on the character about like the celebrity and shit. This Clayface Celebrity Dirt book gives me a lot of vibes of Smile 2, the movie. You know, the horror of celebrity life. But we'll see. We'll see, both from the book and also from the movie. What I do know is that I'm in no way in hell I'm watching Clayface in the theater. No way I'm paying for that shit. Clayface? Nah. It's gonna be another Joker 2 situation, I bet. Next. By the way, I kinda sound like what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix when he sings in Joker 2 Omelette du Fromage. What was the name of that fucking movie? Joker 2 Omelette du Fromage. Anyways, I talked about this new book as part of the Energon universe a couple of times before, and now it's here. We are already in issue number 2. Issue number 1 of Mask was interesting, but it also got me a little bit cautious. They have added this new sort of spy paramilitary group to the Energon universe, and it gives me mixed feelings because we already have a established universe. Mask is coming quite late. The introduction of the Mask was that the US government wants this mask technology, which they didn't really explain fully. But for what I reckon, I don't remember the original show. I don't remember it at all. I barely remember the toys. But from what I can reckon, basically, if you wear these tech masks, you can control machines or some shit. So the main plot of the current Mask book is that the guy who created the mask technology got his technology stolen by the government, and then it was stolen by some terrorist organization, I think. So now the government is coming back, recruiting the creator of the mask technology, so he can go and get back the technology that was stolen from these bad guys. You know. So what is my deal with Mask? That is part of the Energon universe. So I'm already kind of like in my brain concocting ideas on how this is gonna be related to. You know, we gotta take into consideration that we already have boy rivals, G.I. Joe and Transformers. Both G.I. Joe and Transformers have been connected mostly by the Energon, by the existence of Energon on Earth, right? And what it means for both Cobra as a terrorist organization trying to use Energon, and the Transformers who stay on Earth. It's all about that. So you have sort of spy elements into it from the G.I. Joe part. You have the ongoing war between the Transformers. So how is Mask gonna fit in all that? That's basically my main gripe with it. How is Mask gonna fit into all that? Just another government thing? Just like, I'm not gonna speculate forever. They're probably gonna give it to us soon. But if it's all about espionage, again, we have that covered with G.I. Joe. If it's all about big war and machines, we have that covered with Transformers. So what is Mask gonna be? What is Mask's input going to be for the Energon universe? What is gonna be its input? It makes you wonder, do you need to make the whole thing bigger if you're not gonna have good things to do about it? Could it have just been just another just comic book, just Mask? Mobile Armor Strike Command. Command written with a K. Sounds like Nazi, But anyways, the Nerd universe is fun enough to sustain yet another book. its real impact on the overall energy universe is up for grabs, and we'll see what happens next. In another Mark Miller's, uh, I don't know, man. Mark Miller is one of those authors that they just keep getting hit after hit, but what I really like about his books is that they always are borderline into something really, like, they feel offensive for some reason, but I think the great thing he does is that to live in that age, where he did the whole Nemesis, the big bad guy, and the crossover between his books. It always feels like it's on the edge of being not necessarily offensive, but too much. Like you have a main story, you have the main characters. He's really great at world building, and you always are in this limit when heads are gonna roll, or like fucking Nemesis is gonna kill every superhero on Earth, or Huck, the book about this lonely superhero, like you're always waiting him to break, and and talking about the Magic Order, and the Magic Order at any point, at any time during that book, anyone could like fucking die and shit. So in this new book called Starcrossed, it's just a couple of thieves, basically. They are thieves, and now they are running for their lives. That's it. Quite simple. But as I've been saying, his books are always this exciting, borderline, absurd, offensive shit. So it's exciting. I think most of his books are exciting until they get a little bit sluggish. That happened to me a lot with a Magic Order. I feel like I've loved most of the Magic Order story arcs, but they come to a point where they become really slow, and they sort of like drag a little bit too long. But this is a guy who, come on, he's I should make like a tier list of authors, in my opinion, because he's definitely not top tier in my book, but mid to top. Like if we go from A to S, A, B, C, D, wait, A, B, C, D, S. Well, it's mid to top, So basically, if he releases something new, I'm always gonna check it out, because I know I'm up for a fun ride, regardless. So new Mark Miller, gotta check it out. Maybe, I don't know why in my mind I always think he was cancelled or something. Or maybe he said something stupid on Twitter or something. But anyways, new Mark Miller, check it out. Next. Speaking of things that this book made me think about one thing. Why some American authors are obsessed with this idea of small town USA having a secret? I don't know. Like, you could do like a whole thing. What was it? I keep having memories of books, but I keep forgetting the name. What was the name of that book that I really enjoy about this small town where people were immortal in that town? Or Exquisite Creatures. One of the recent from James Tynion. It's always this obsession with small town USA where a secret is there. You can put Beneath the Trees as well, the serial killer furry book, one of the best books of the year as well. You can also put it in that narrative. Small town, something happens. And in Witness Point, co-written by Nathan Fillion, the Green Lantern, basically it's a small town in USA where for some reason they put every criminal who is in witness protection in the same town for some reason, but nobody knows. And the premise of the book is that everything goes to shit. Something happens, and the whole thing breaks down. As I was reading the description, I was like, oh, small town USA again. And then I thought, isn't that pretty stupid though? Even if you go to witness protection, and of course it's secret, you don't know, why would you put all of them in the same small town, man? I know it's secret, but secrets are not foolproof. I don't know. I don't know how good the witness protection thing is. They always have this myth, in movies and shows, that is really not that good. Whenever you hear witness protections on a show, it's always like, oh, you're gonna go into witness protection, right? And they go like, no, but they will know. And of course, the bad guys always get to know. So if you're based only on movies and show, this witness protection shit is worthless. They always find them out. Is it really that bad? Is it really that easy to find out who is on witness protection or not? Man, now I got into like a really interesting tangent, because now I want to see how the book actually acknowledged that. How the book actually deals with the whole witness protection effectiveness. Yeah, it could be witness protection effectiveness or witness protection overall functionality, maybe. I was watching this show Ozark, and at any point when they were, I don't want to spoil the show, but basically this family who is mixed up with Mexican drug cartels, and they are trying to survive, right? But they are approached by the FBI many times to become informants, to go into witness protection, to escape the life of crime. And they're always like, no, we won't, because they will find out. Like, witness protection sucks. And I'm really curious how bad it is, man. I'm really curious how bad it is. Because they always say no, and they always find them. Fuck, now I can't stop thinking about it. Thank witness points. Let's hope you clear out some of those doubts. Witness point published by Dark Horse Comics. Next. Witness fucking protection, man. I always remember the Simpsons episode. Mr. Thompson. Like, if you relocate me, for example, I'm not gonna say I'm the most boring looking guy, and I'm not the most generic looking guy, but I'm not that unique looking either. So if you put me in another place, I'm pretty sure not many people would recognize me. Plus, I've worn a beard for the last 20 years. So if I just shave and then do some sunbathing, because probably under my beard it's like white as fuck. But anyways, stop about that. Just a quick recommendation on the current Wolverine book. Just because in the past years, I really fell in love with the character of Taskmaster. Taskmaster is just this wonky, funny character. The last thing he did was have this whole run with Deadpool, when they run Deadpool's company together, which I really fucking hate that they finished so abruptly. And they make Taskmaster this really funny character, because the thing is, he's a mercenary, but he's like a true mercenary in a sense that he does shit for money, and his power set is really mysterious. the more you think about it, it's like, okay, he can copy any fighting style. Any fighting style. That shit is OP. That shit is important. So it's really weird that he's never kind of like broken through the mid-tier villain group. It's really curious. And what does that mean for him as a person? Is that he doesn't really care. It's like he's not full bad, he's not full good, and whenever he appears in a book, he was in the previous Black Widow, I think. He's always a cameo bad guy. He's never the main big bad, and he's always so nonchalant and like, he's like, okay, I'm here because I was hired to be the bad guy in turn. Whatever, fuck it. Like, such an interesting personality for someone with such badass power set. But we'll see. He's now coming into the Wolverine book, which gives me kind of like strange vibes, because Wolverine at this point is kind of like stretched out thin between being in the Uncanny X-Men and being part of the upcoming Avengers Armageddon, and what he was in the Weapons of Armageddon, the prequel book for the current Armageddon storyline in the Avengers book. So, and we keep forgetting that in his main book, this one, he lost his claws, or I think only one hand, to the adamantine monster. I really thought he was gonna get new adamantine claws and he was going to get an upgrade. But then you think about it, and Wolverine is one of those characters that never needs an upgrade. He's already kind of like OP. You don't give Wolverine an upgrade. It would be too broken. But Taskmaster is co-starring in this new sort of beginning of the story arc. And as I've been saying, I've been growing to love Taskmaster as a character. It's just so fun. Like, the fact that he doesn't care for shit except money. It's always fun when he comes up, because he's gonna do his thing, copy styles and fighting styles, but that basically means that he needs to fight someone. So it's a mix about action, apathy, like it's just a fun character. So as soon as I saw him there in the cover, it's like, come on, man. It's gonna be fun. Next, last but not least, and the book of the week, is World 3 issue 21 by James Tynion and Fernando Blanco. World 3 is a book that has sort of settled down in my hype list. When it began, it was really exciting, this whole idea of the internet hiding a secret that would break people and which will eventually break the world. As we move through the main story of World 3, we got into the future, we got into the almost post-apocalyptic world where basically the internet destroyed everything. There were so many interesting layers to this metaphor and to these characters, to the creators of World 3, the mysteries behind it, and the stories we've gotten after the world ended. But as I said at the beginning of the episode, this was going to be a sort of origin story episode. And in World 3 number 21, we're going to go deep into Amanda Huggins, which is sort of like one of the main assassins characters of the book, and she is deeply ingrained into the main story. I don't want to spoil it, but like basically this sort of holds a little bit more of the big secret of World 3. The big secret of World 3 is what exactly made the transition between this electronic revelation and whatever it does to people. People go into this website and they become crazed assassins and monsters and whatever, But the connection between that, the secret of that connection, might as well be held in this character. You know, like I, I, I don't know how to say without spoiling it. But let's say the secret between the what's going on in this book, right? You know how they say this, the missing link. I love that concept of there's a missing stage in evolution between the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens. There must be a stage between. That is sort of the concept we're seeing this with this character and the main story of this book. To finally have this revelation of what is it about this quote-unquote website that makes people go crazy. What is it exactly? You know? And I think we're reaching towards the end of this book. I'm not sure when it's gonna end. As I've said before, I don't like knowing too much when something's gonna end, because come on, man, then you get your views on it biased because you know it's ending. But regardless, World 321, we are getting backstory and possibly a big revelation that will sort of set up all the rest of the story of this book moving forward. What is really the toxicity of the internet? We sort of know, like all of us know. I don't know if there's anyone who's completely disconnected from the internet by now. So we all know. To me, this is just an extra commentary. To me, the real cancer, the real thing about the internet, the real kind of like evil influence of the internet, is that it really can't be stopped. You know, and which means that all the toxicity, all the sexism, the hate, the the overall stupidity that you see even in games, like now that I play a lot of Rivals, I was watching the live stream of the showcase of the season 9, and I can't understand the culture of the internet no more. Because you go into the chat room, you have like 60,000 people, and they all write in 6-7. For starters, I don't know what the fuck that means. But then I thought, why would you go into a chat room just to write 6-7 over and over? Like, what the fuck is wrong with your brain? It can't be possible that 60,000 people are all stupid morons, it could be, who don't know how to communicate. They do it because there is a culture on the internet. There's a culture that protects that behavior, which is something that I can't do myself. Maybe I'm old school in that sense, but I just carry myself mostly as I am everywhere I go. I can't just turn into a moron and go 6-7 on a chat room. I can't. So whenever I go into a Twitch chat room, I behave like a human being. And that is the way we sort of understand World 3, the comic book that I was talking about. There is a culture inside the internet that protects so many vicious and evil things. And if you do the imaginary work of thinking, what if that culture becomes so prominent, becomes so accepted, becomes so mainstream that comes out of the screen? It comes out of the screen, and then you get 60,000 a mob of morons writing 6-7, saying racist and sexist shit. and sort of allowing themselves to be like that. That is the danger of the internet. And nothing can stop it now. It's a monster that cannot be destroyed. Will it destroy us? I don't know. Certainly hasn't destroyed me, thankfully. I haven't become that much of a moron. I was already a moron, but I'm not the type of moron that's gonna write 6, 7 over and over in a chat room. I would ask for my calories to be returned. I would feel ripped off if I used my life-giving calories to make the muscular effort to go into my keyboard, click on the chat room, and write and type the number 6 and the number 7. I would ask for a refund for my calories and for my brain cells and for my time for doing such a stupid, nonsensical, and worthless shit as that. See? Anyways, that's another week in comic books. The world of more imagination, appreciation, and art. Don't be a jackass. Or be one, but, have a balance. Be 30% jackass. Not 60 or 7. Did I just say 6, 7? Maybe that's what it means. To be a 60 or 70% moron. Anyways, thank you all for listening. See you all next week. Bye bye.